All right, good evening. Welcome to the August 3rd, 2022 Village of Woodbury Planning Board meeting. Just want to give everybody a heads up, can be a little change tonight. The board does need to go to attorney-client for a few moments to discuss a pending application and receive legal advice. So what you're going to see happen is we're going to start our meeting. We're going to do their pledge. You're going to see the board members step out into a breakout room. We'll speak with our attorney, and then we'll come back in and we'll move on with the regular agenda. So with that said, I ask that everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please be seated. Oh, hold on. I may have done that wrong.
Oh, no, I got an invite.
No, I invited everybody in.
Oh,
That didn't work out well. Hold on, the breakout room will close. Just kidding. Give me a second. No, come on, finish.
Rich, you're muted.
Hey, Chris, if it's technically, I know we haven't done this in a long time. We can do it at another time.
He's testing the boundaries with technology,
Okay,
showing off a little bit. All of a sudden I ended up in a different room. I was like, oh gosh.
Okay, so let me see if this is actually working. David, can you hear me? You can still hear me. Okay. You know what? Because I am the host, it's not gonna let me go in a room by myself. All right, we're gonna have to do this either after the meeting or we'll schedule it for
another time.
another time.
Okay,
Or can you put everybody into the waiting room and
No,
then bring them back in?
Mike, we can either do it after the meeting or we'll do it another time. We got a lot.
yeah, let's see how long the meeting is and we'll make a decision.
yeah,
Okay,
either way.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we just received the minutes for the last meeting, so we're gonna table those into our next meeting so everybody has a proper chance to review those. First item on the irregular agenda is Avalon review status of project for proposed 4-story, 130 room hotel at 94 Turner Road in Central Valley. Said property is known in the Village of Woodbury tax maps, section 226, block 1, lot 5, and 6.2. All right, John, you got your 5 minutes.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board, for entertaining us for just a brief update. And I will be brief. We were last before you February of last year. We had a site plan for obviously the hotel over there on Turner Road and 32 by the martial arts studio. It's been kicking around for quite some time. We had presented a plan to the planning board in February, and with the directive that we come back to the planning board once we have navigated our traffic issues with the DOT. Ultimately, at this point in time, we think that we have a understanding with the DOT and a path forward, and that we just wanted to briefly go over with you tonight, and then just basically update you that we're going to be probably proceeding full steam with submissions to the board for, site plan and SECRA reviews for the project. So with that, also here tonight is Paul Oliveira, the applicant, and Frank Feliciotto, if I hopefully didn't butcher his name too badly, from Creighton Manning, our traffic consultant. And I will turn it over to Frank just to give you a brief update of where we're at with the DOT.
Thank you, John. Good evening, everyone. It's been a few months since we saw you. So just to refresh, Frank Feliciotto with Creighton Manning. We've been working on the traffic study for this project, and as well as interfacing with your consultant as well as the DOT. And where we left it last time was we really needed to cross a hurdle with DOT relative to Route 32 and Turner Road. As you know, there's another hotel application in front of this board, and they're also looking at improvements at 32 and Turner Road. But the DOT has been very clear with us, and they've said that regardless of which hotel moves forward, one or both, that intersection needs to be improved. So they've required both applicants to submit conceptual drawings of improvements at 32 and Turner Road. We've prepared conceptual documents, we've shared them with the DOT, and just in May of this year, we received sort of the go-ahead from the DOT that our conceptual design for that intersection is satisfactory. And what they've asked us to do now is to develop detailed design plans for the connecting road that will bring the site from Turner across just south of the martial arts building, if you're familiar with it, and tie in at 32 at Oakland Avenue. That's our primary access. But the DOT wanted to have a backstop from us that Turner Road and 32 would get upgraded in the event that the other hotel project were not to move forward. They wanted an assurance that either application would be improving that intersection. It's been our understanding to date that that other hotel application would be assuming the responsibility of those improvements. But like I said, this application would be the backstop if that project were to fall through. If the board is interested, I can share a conceptual plan of the improvements. This plan was reviewed by DOT and conceptually approved. I'd be happy to do that now, but if you're tight for time, we could move forward with questions if there are any. Up to you.
I'll give you, if you want, I'll give you another 5 minutes to show the plan. We take any quick questions on it, and then we'll go
Sure.
from there and wait for the formal submission.
Sure. So
You should be able to share.
sure. I'm
Whatever
going
you're
to
sharing tonight, though, should be part of your formal submission so that it's part of the record.
We'd be happy to include that at the next formal submission.
Okay.
So I'm just going to share my screen. This is just a plan view drawing. I'll annotate so everyone can understand what's going on here. But our project is off this view. Our project is down here at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, if you can see the pink annotations. This is the existing martial arts building. North is to the right of the plan. Basically now, if you're familiar with Turner Road, there's a lot of pavement in this particular area. And the DOT has asked us to realign that intersection as part of either our project or the Marriott project, whichever one moves forward, or both. And so you can see this realignment here brings Turner Road into Route 32 at a 90-degree angle. In addition, the DOT is requiring a left turn lane. And you can see that right here. You can see the left turn arrows denoting a 11-foot wide left turn lane for southbound movements from 32 onto Turner Road. And that's going to require some widening on the sides of 32 in order to get that road wide enough for a third lane. And we've done that within existing right-of-way. The DOT owns portions of the road outside of the road bed. And so the intent here is to widen Route 32 within the existing right-of-way, not requiring property from private entities. So this plan has been before the DOT. They've deemed it conceptually acceptable. If we were required to do these improvements, we would need to move into detailed design, obviously, something that contractor could build off of. But at present time, we understand that the Marriott is advancing these exact improvements as part of their project. And our focus at this point is really on the connector road, which is on the left side of the plan, which will bring our project out to Oakland Avenue. And DOT has blessed that connection point as well and has requested detailed design documents. So John and I are working on that as we speak. So we don't have a permit from DOT, but we've reached a key point in the process where they are on board with the offsite mitigation that this project is going to require. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I don't have any right now. Does anybody from the board have any?
No, but I'm all right.
I'm good.
Nope.
Well, I thank you for the time. I appreciate it. And we will be seeing you in the near future.
All right, thank you very much for the update, John. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Good night.
Right.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda, God's Grace Ministry. This is a public hearing for proposed site plan and special permit for change of use to include a place of worship within the shopping plaza known as Oak Clove Mall. Said property is located at 228 Route 32 in Central Valley and is known in the Village of Woodbury tax maps, section 229, block 1, lot 28. Do we have a representative from God's Grace Ministry? Okay. Well, I will entertain public comment now on God's Grace Ministry. Just unmute yourself, raise your hand, state your full name and where you're from. Go ahead, Alex.
My name is Victor, and I live on Shuett Place, which is right next to Schoenberg's office. My concern is this: should they get the approval, what's to stop any of the spaces there from becoming a school? Let's say a charter school. And the reason I bring up this question is because the way the road is configured currently, you have basically 3 lanes. There's a north lane and a south lane with what is otherwise known as a turning lane. And I have seen that turning lane abused into a passing lane just about on a daily basis. So, you know, my concern is that if we give the approval for the church, I have no problem with the church necessarily. What happens if the church wants to start a school?
They would have to come back and amend their site plan application, obtain a special permit, and then do the necessary research and approvals to support that a school of any type can be supported in that shopping center.
So does the precedent of having a house of worship make it easier to go ahead and do that? I'm just wondering.
No, each application, each use stands on its own. Each use has its own requirements that must be met. School has its own requirements as far as parking, setbacks, land requirements, things along that line. So one doesn't say you can automatically or make it easier for you to get an approval for something else. They would still have to come back and prove to this board. And I would actually have to check the zoning for there, that a school would even be allowed in that strip mall.
How different is the zoning for a house of worship and a school?
Yes,
Excuse me?
they're allowed by what they call special permit, which is they're allowed in the zone, but they're not automatically allowed. You can't just go to the building department and say, I want to put a church in. They have to come in front of the planning board and go through the process that this parish has been going through for the past couple of months and demonstrate that the site is sufficient for the needs and what they're going to be doing at the site.
And it's subject to annual review.
I hope that answers your question, sir.
I think so. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else wishing to speak on the God's Grace Ministry application? One more call, final call for the God's Grace Ministry application. This is the public hearing. Being the applicant is not here, I'm going to offer a motion to extend the public hearing to August 17th.
A second.
Second by Tommy. Any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing's been extended. The board can take no action tonight. Next item on the agenda, the UPS store, Woodbury Pharmacy. Review and discuss documents submitted for proposed interior alterations to the Woodbury Pharmacy to allow the use of 400 square foot existing floor area to be utilized as a UPS store. Said property is located 535 Route 32 in Highland Mills and is known as the Village of Woodbury Tax Map, Section 219-4-4.2. I see, I believe there's a Ron that just came in for the tonight.
I'm representing the UPS Store corporate office.
Okay, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
Good. Been a while since this application has been in front of us, but basically they want to put a small UPS store in front of the Woodbury Pharmacy. There have been numerous reiterations of both the site plan and signage of what the applicant is looking to do here. I know Natalie, there was some feedback on their latest proposal, so why don't we just go right there?
Sure. Thanks, Chris. I think according to our records, the applicant was last before you in April of 2021. At that time, as you mentioned, we discussed signage, traffic, deliveries, that would be specific to the UPS store and Woodbury Pharmacy itself. At the time, the applicant was referred to the ZBA for an issue associated with the sign area and the number of colors proposed for the sign. I think technically a multi-tenant directory sign is permitted 3 colors, where 5 were proposed between the 2 uses, Woodbury Pharmacy and UPS. Since that time, zoning has changed, which allows the planning board some discretion to modify the number of colors that could be permitted on any single sign, as long as the proposed additional colors are not deemed by the planning board to be distracting to drivers. So I think if you agree, you can consider that, as part of this request, if you think it's appropriate. But still, I think there may still be an issue with the size of the sign. I haven't seen a revised rendering since the original submittal. And at that time, it looked like each panel was approximately 17.6 square feet, which would make the total sign area 35 square feet, and the code only permits 20 square feet. So I think that still needs to be fleshed out with the applicant, and I don't believe that they did ever appear before the ZBA for this issue. So it's not clear to me if they were proposing to eliminate the sign panel or how they want to proceed with that aspect. We did take a look. The applicant provided a updated survey that was requested at your last appearance, basically showing the site as it exists today. We were able to confirm that parking is adequate on the site for both uses. With respect to the survey, it should be signed and sealed by the professional that prepared the plan, and the date of the survey should be noted. And also there were minor modifications to the title block that would be required as well. But that's all in our memo, so I think that's relatively minor. And then the only other thing I had sort of outstanding from their last appearance was that a revised entity disclosure form may need to be submitted. So I didn't see anything like that come in currently, and I'll defer to Kelly if that's still required at this time. Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. I think right now it's the sign area issue from my point of view.
Miss Barber, hi, I'm Mark Ferranti, Chairman Gerber. Hello, I'm Mark Ferranti with United Parcel Service, as you folks know as UPS. And I support Ron, and I see Miss Ishak on here as well. So Miss Barber, just so we can move this along, we're very eager to open this store up, and your community would really benefit from it. You just need a new rendering of the external sign, right? And you need an additional form. Would you repeat, what is the name of that form again?
It's an entity disclosure form, and I think the building department, if you reach out to Maria Rubio, she's the clerk there, she'll be able to provide that to you.
Provide that to us, and then we can get that back to you folks. So we'll work with our sign vendor on those second modifications. And then do you foresee any other delays, or Chairman Gerber, do you see any other delays once we're beyond the sign issue and the secondary form that Ms. Barber mentioned? We'd like to get this store open as soon as we can, and particularly with Christmas coming up. I know in the summer months we don't want to think about that, but we at UPS are already thinking about Christmas season.
So if you don't mind me jumping in regarding the sign, we did take note of the concern with the square footage of both signs, and have now pivoted to doing more of a pylon sign that would go underneath the pylon sign for the pharmacy as it currently stands. So Aisha, I don't know if you submitted that rendering to the board,
No.
but we do have that already prepared.
Yeah, so that's what we would need. That's what we need to the board, along with the entity disclosure board. There are two outstanding items here. One is the public hearing, which we could schedule tonight if you feel you could get those forms into us within the next 2 weeks. This way we get you on September 7th for a public hearing, which would be required by law for this application. And the other thing we have is you just have to demonstrate that you're not going to be using an increase in water or sewer at this site. There is Maria Rubio can give you the water sewer usage form. And it's a little 2-page form you fill out. You're gonna put down how much water and sewer you're planning on using with the add addition of the UPS store. Again, you may not be, you may be. I can't answer that, but only you can answer that question. The reason why that form is important is because Woodbury is currently under a moratorium for construction. So if you are unable to demonstrate that you are going to be using the same amount of water or less, you would need to get a hardship waiver in order for the process to move forward. Did I get that all right, Kelly?
So we would love Chairman Gerber to be scheduled for that September meeting. I'll pivot over to Ron and Ms. Ishak. Do we think we could, sounds like now we're up to 4 things that we've got to provide them. I think we can do that by September.
Well, it would have to be it has to be in 2 weeks before September 7th. So everything's due 2 weeks before the meeting, so our consultants have time to review it. So that would give you pretty much the next 3 weeks or so to get this all set
wrapped up. Right.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
I think we can do that. We have no problem with that. Just about that form, we are not planning to use more water, so we still have to fill the form out, and where I can get that.
I'd love to take your word for it, but legally I need the form on hand with signed off on, because that's what we have to hold you to.
Okay, and
that's a requirement for everybody.
And where I can get that form?
Maria Rubio, the building department, has it for you as well. It's a PDF form that you can fill out.
So Arena, Miss Rubio over at Township Hall, I guess. Yeah, Chairman Gerber, we ship packages for a living. Don't use much water, but I understand you need it for your due diligence.
Yeah, it's due diligence that we do on all applications because we are very strained.
I understand.
So we need entity disclosure board, that form.
Entity disclosure form, the water and sewer usage form, and then a rendering of what the proposed sign. And when you submit the rendering, make sure the typefaces you're going to use are on there, the colors you're going to use, and the square footage or at least the dimensions, so we can calculate the square footage, are clearly listed on it.
And Ron, you know who to send that to, I take it?
Yeah,
All
we
those-
currently have that. That was already taken care of. We
So we
currently
just
have,
need to, we just need to send it in.
we just need to submit it.
Chairman Gerber, who would Ron send that to?
It all goes to the building department, Maria Rubio. She's the secretary for the planning board.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So Aisha, based on what I'm hearing now, I think getting this submitted by Friday is definitely doable. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. We'll do
Okay.
that.
Okay, then I will offer a motion to schedule a public hearing for September 7th for the UPS store.
Please do.
I'll second.
Second by Evan. Sorry, hold on, Natalie. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, you jumped in mid-motion.
Sorry about that. I thought it was over. I just wanted to, for the applicant's benefit, I am not exactly clear on what was described about a second pylon sign being on the site, but just so you know, the code requires or permits only one freestanding sign on any lot. So if you're proposing two, that may not be permitted. And I would suggest that you review the village code. It's available online and it's section 31030 for any specific requirements for the zone, as well as specific signs and what's permitted. I just
So
don't want
for-
you to run into an issue if you submit something that, again, ultimately couldn't be approved, just pointing you to the guidelines so you can look at them for yourself before you submit.
Sure, just for some clarification, as it is a current pylon sign that is installed, and underneath it would be a sign for the UPS store, not a second sign.
Okay.
A second fixture or second structure created.
Yeah, so previously, I think there was just an additional panel that was proposed. So if that's still what's being proposed, that's okay. You just need to comply with the area requirements. It's 20 square feet overall.
20 square feet for both pylon signs total.
Combined, correct.
Fine, yes.
Okay.
And do me a favor, please. A couple of us are new to the planning board. Is this UPS store a full service store like the one in New Windsor? Or is it a drop-off desk like the one in Staples in Central Valley?
No, Mr. Pastel, it will be a full UPS store offering approximately 24 profit centers. So it's the whole gamut of everything we do.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
All right, any board has any other questions? Okay, so we'll see you on the 7th, and just make sure you get that stuff in as quickly as possible, please.
I will.
Chairman Gerber, does a new email come out on the September 7th planning board meeting?
What, a comment letter from the or being notified?
An invite, yes, an invite.
Yeah, Maria will reach out to you with the updated link as long. We're waiting on the governor actually to decide if she's going to extend public hearings. They've kind of been doing it in 30-day blocks.
I see.
So we've got to wait until this block runs out if they extend it or not. If they extend it, you'll get the link for the virtual meeting. Otherwise, you'll have to appear at Village Hall.
Understand. Thank you. Thank you for that.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Have a good
Good
evening.
night, everybody.
Next item on the agenda, Mira/ARB 6 College. Review and discuss documents submitted on the ARB and Ridge Preservation application for proposed changes to existing single-family dwelling to include stucco on the front facade, entrance portico, and driveway carport. Said property is located at 6 College Drive in Highland Mills, known as the Village Woodbury Tax Maps, Section 245, Block 2, Lot 8. Anybody here for Mira 6 College Road? Drive, sorry. Anybody here for Mira 6 College Drive, ARB review? Okay, guess we shall go back to the bullpen, as Rick would like to say. We will come back to you with that at the end of the meeting. Next up, Hartman, ARB 2 First Avenue. Review and discuss documents submitted for the ARB and Ridge Preservation application for proposed addition of a Proposed addition of a story to an existing dwelling. Said property is located at 2 First Avenue, is known as the Village of Woodbury Tax Maps, Section 214, Block 6, Lot 5. I know I saw Larry.
Hi,
Hey, Larry.
how are you?
Good. How are you tonight?
How is everybody?
Good. Yourself?
Hanging in there?
Hey, at least I put all your applications together tonight. You don't have to. You don't have to hang around.
Yep. That is pretty good.
So you want to go ahead? This is
Yeah.
first time for this one.
Yeah, so this property is located at 2 First Avenue. I did submit a booklet with which starts the cover letter on the first page. Second is the existing survey of the existing dwelling. So basically, it is a square shape with a missing the porch in the front as a covered porch. Second, on page number 3 is the 3D rendering how this house is going to look. This is the front of the house. Just for clarification, my 3D renderer in all the way in Bangladesh just made a nice driveway, a walkway, but it will be I would not add all these driveways. The driveways is going to be existing. Walkways is going to be existing. That was one of the comments from the engineer.
Can you share the screen?
Yes, I can. Here we go. So to start, this is the site plan. Square shape, as I said, with the front covered porch, is located on the corner of Scunnamunk and First Avenue. Page number 3 has the 3D rendering of the proposed house, how it's going to look. As I said, all these driveways is not it's just for the 3D rendering that the person did. We're not going to add any imperforated surfaces. We're just going to leave the old driveway and walkways. Page number 4 is the existing house. To clarify a little bit, it looks like a 1-story house right now, but we're not going to raise the roof more than it is right now. We're not going to touch the roof. So basically, the idea is to put in a floor somewhere in the middle where the windows are right now, have the windows moved up a little bit, and then have basement windows. So which means the building, the way it's going to stay the way it is, it's just a rearrangement of the windows. It's not going to get any higher than that. Second picture has the front of the house. This is the road, the front of the house, and we're going to add that covered porch. We're going to add as living space. So basically, this house, the way it is right now, is going to become this. So we're going to put in a floor in the middle, raise the windows higher, and put windows in the bottom. So basically, the floor is going to be somewhere around the middle of the window. These are the existing elevations and existing floor plans. Page number 6 is the proposed floor plans. So the porch is where the stairs is right now. That porch we want to incorporate into the house. And we're going to have 2 decks on the 2 sides. 2 new decks. These are the proposed elevations. Page number 8 is basically an existing approved building permit to do the exact same thing we are doing right now. The same thing we're proposing right now is to add those 2 decks, fill in the porch, and have the utility room in the back. So that is a permit they have received in 5/2021.
Right, but Larry, the permit was for the decks in the utility room, not the second floor.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
I just want to be clear. I just want to make that clear.
Yeah. And the page number 10 is to show that you can't see the property from the Ridge Preservation Corridor. Ridge Preservation Corridor in this area is, I believe, at 7 Springs Road, marked on the first diagram. The site is located on, I believe this is Scunnamunk, And if you look towards Scunnamunk, that is behind that, behind what you can see. This is basically to explain a little bit about it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, before we go to Natalie, does the board have any questions for Larry?
Was that 4 bedrooms?
It was a master bedroom and 3 bedrooms, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a master on each floor, plus 2 on the basement floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Natalie, why don't you go ahead, please?
Sure. There are a couple of, I think, threshold issues with this application. And before I kind of go into them, I just wanted to clarify with Larry a couple of things. When I originally looked at this, I thought it was just a single family home, occupied for year-round use. Has that always been the case, or was this previously a seasonal dwelling with duplex? Was it a duplex use previously, or is that being proposed currently?
No, I have 2 applications in front of the board. The 5 first is currently a duplex and proposed as a duplex. And this one is a single family, and it's going to be proposed as a single family.
Okay. If this is a seasonal dwelling, which I think it may be currently classified as that, technically, I think that this application should be for a conversion from, conversion from a seasonal to year-round dwelling, and there are certain requirements in the code for that. But above, okay.
I don't think this is a seasonal. This is located on its own section block a lot. It's not part of those, how's it called? Part of the
bungalows?
Part of the bungalows in that area. For example, if you take a look, this is just the site. If you take a look at the screen, this is the site. It's on the corner. I don't think this is classified as a seasonal. Versus if you take a look, there's 2 big properties next to it. And they're seasonal with large bungalow developments.
Well, the one property is the village's property. That's their water treatment plant. And also there's a big lake in the middle of the property.
No, not this one, not the one behind it. The one on First Avenue. On First Avenue, the large property. That is a seasonal. And down the road, there's one seasonal that we had on the previous board. But I believe this is on its own lot, and I can't believe this is classified as seasonal.
Yeah, I'm checking to see what the county has it listed as.
I think the building department has it listed as seasonal.
Right. And I think, we may need to clarify that moving forward. But, that issue aside, our memo notes that the lot is undersized for the zone. Accordingly, in addition to the lot area issue and sort of an expansion of the building, create kind of expanding the nonconformity, there are an issue with setbacks that need to be demonstrated. And ultimately, I think there probably are a number of variances that could be required as part of this proposal. So I'll defer to Kelly to talk about that a little bit. We did ask the applicant to confirm the coverage on the lot, including proposed impervious surfaces. I know, Larry, you just said you're not proposing any changes to the existing driveway or the sidewalk, but still those calculations should be demonstrated on the plan. We noted, there are comments on ARB and ridge preservation that we had, and I know it's kind of a long meeting, so I don't necessarily know if we want to go into all of those details. The applicant sort of has our memo, the planning board has it as well, unless you have specific questions on those, or do you want me to kind of go through those right now, Chris?
I think tonight, Natalie, because this is really going to be a referral to the ZBA, so. Just so you know, the county has this listed as a duplex in Admore Park, in Admore Park, so seasonal. Section A, Admore Park Incorporated. So this may be a seasonal dwelling, and it's listed as a duplex already. So we got a couple things we got to work out here.
So I think the conversion, your proposal is for a single family dwelling, though. This is not proposed to be continued as a duplex, correct,
Correct.
Larry?
Yes.
So at least that, I think, because technically multifamily homes are not permitted in this zone, if I'm correct, Kelly. So that could actually be helping your situation, but the seasonal to year-round use needs to be fleshed out, as well as any expansions of these nonconformities, the lot area and setback issues. But I'll defer to Kelly.
No,
And I'll stop.
you just said everything. I mean, it really requires a referral to the ZBA, and I think Larry needs to, like you said, flush out the conversions of the application before the board, because I believe that the building department has this on record as a seasonal dwelling. So that would need to be part of your application as well, to convert it to year round, if that's what you're looking to use it for, and make sure that you can complete those elements. But I think, like the chairman said, it might be too soon to go into some of those things, but I think it's appropriate to do a referral to the ZBA.
Yeah, so the referral for the ZBA would be for the conversion of a seasonal to a year round.
Correct?
No, that's with you. That one would be for the setbacks, lot area, things that Natalie set out in her memo.
We can convert, so we can do the special permit for a seasonal to a year round.
Yes, I'm just trying to pull up that section now, and
I tell you, it's first time in 5 years it's come up for me, so.
it hasn't come up in a long time. It used to come up a lot down Sunny Lane, I think it was.
But all that would depend on any relief that Larry would need from the ZBA anyway, right? Before we would even get into, go down that road.
Right, and some of this, he probably already has some of this information. But it does say that the residence on the lot has to comply in all respects with the requirements of the building code for one-family dwellings. And it has to meet the development standards provided for a single-family dwelling permitted in the zone where it's located. So it's something that he really needs to take a look at. It sounds like it is only going to be used for a single-family dwelling. So maybe that can be corrected as part of this application, like Natalie was saying. But just, Chris, to get back to your initial question, it does say a special permit from the planning board.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, it's first time in my, since I'm
In years, it hasn't come up in a while. Yeah.
So please bear with us, Larry, but it's fairly, I don't think any, other than Rich, I don't think anybody else on the board has done one of these yet. All right, sorry, Natalie, we kind of got off the beaten path.
Just for Larry's reference, it's 310-26 sets out the 5 elements that need to be basically proven to the board to their satisfaction to convert seasonal to year round. Okay, sorry, Natalie.
Thanks for that. Question, so basically I have to go to the ZBA first to get variances before it's even converted to a from a seasonal to a regular residence, correct? And even though everything is existing, we're not adding other than the decks and inserting closing the covered porch?
If you're not doing any changes like whatsoever, you could consider moving forward with the conversion application now. The board was looking at the additions that you were doing, which even though, you know, going up, it still increases the nonconformity, and you would need the variances for the setbacks and the lot areas and things like that. So I think we were just trying to make sure that you get whatever it is that you're looking for to move the application forward. So if you want to do that, you would need ZBA approval.
Okay,
Also,
okay.
well, I was going to say part of that code part of the code requirements for the conversion of seasonal dwellings is that the lot needs to meet the density requirements of the zone. So right now, technically, you know, the lot area is an issue in those setbacks. So I think, and Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong if you read it differently than me, but it seems like the ZBA approvals would almost be necessary before the conversion could happen because they're non-complying right now.
Yeah, if they don't even comply with the provisions for single family, then yes. I didn't look at it for that, to be honest.
No, I know, same.
Okay, so basically, to sum it up, is I need to go to the ZBA while it's a seasonal dwelling, ask for a variance that when it gets converted to to a regular home, so I should get the variance, and then I have to come back to the planning board to actually convert it from a, if I get the variance, to actually convert it from a seasonal to a regular dwelling, correct?
That's correct.
In addition to seasonal to year round, does duplex to single family enter into it?
So I think the duplex home is non-conforming, a single family home is, so they would actually be bettering their situation by conversion to single family home.
It's actually one less thing they would have to ask for.
Right. And Larry, just to kind of make it a little easier on you, we typically prepare the ZBA referral. So, we'll list the things that we think that you need, but obviously you're responsible, when you're before that board to seek all relief that's necessary for you to proceed.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I'll check on that.
So I think at this point, Larry, so we don't go too far down the wormhole here, because you do got a little bit of work, is I think it'd be appropriate for us to type this under secret, right, Kelly? So we can at least start that process. So I'll make a motion to type this as a type 2 action under secret.
Second.
Second by Michael. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll also offer a motion to have Natalie prepare a referral to the ZBA for the relief required for this application.
Second.
That was Tommy, I think. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we don't want to waste your time too much on this one, Larry, until you get what you need, and then we can go from there.
Great.
All right, so don't sit still. Next item on the agenda. Spitzer Millwork Showroom, review and discuss revised documents submitted for proposed special permit and amended site plan. The permit change in use to millwork showroom. Said property is located in 279 Route 32 in Central Valley and is known as the Village of Woodbury Tax Maps, Section 230, Block 4, Lot 4.2. Mr. Hartman again.
Yeah, so basically on this project, there was a couple of comments from the board, particularly that to change the fence from a regular chain link fence to a board fence, which we did on the site plan. There was also a question regarding the water, which we submitted an application for the water. Just to respond to the letter. So we know the chain link fence to be proposed. Okay, the applicant has added a loading brick to the plans. We changed to the right size. It was a little bit off on the previous submission. Regarding then number 3 is regarding the water and sewer. So basically in the previous, the last board meeting, there was an issue regarding the moratorium. Since we did any changes to this to the building and the application, we couldn't, the board couldn't vote. But since then, the village board changed the rules and added 2 more exceptions, which I believe one of these exceptions is going to exempt this project, and particularly it says if somebody so basic application, one of the exemption reads as applications for planning board and or architectural review board approval for new structures that propose a change to the layout of previously approved structure, but which does not result in additional uses on a property or an increased use of water. So this was added to the exemption of moratorium last month. And I believe our proposed change from a car showroom to a millwork showroom will not increase any water usage. It's the same showroom. If anything, it's going to reduce, since a car requires a lot of washing and all of that. Other than that, it doesn't increase the amount of people. It doesn't increase, it's the same square footage. So we didn't add any square footage, the same amount of people, just a matter if they're looking at cars or they're looking at millwork. So I would ask the board if they can possibly vote on this application. And number 4, actually provide typical ARB form. The last one is we did provide a new ARB form for the change of the colors of the building. And we changed the refuse collection and we clarified it. There was 2 different sizes on the plans and we clarified it on the site plan.
Thank you, Larry. Natalie, you want to go ahead?
Sure. So we tried to boil our memo down this time, indicating where plan revisions were still required, or, you know, if based on discussions with the applicant previously, the board agreed to certain conditions for your action. So we've tried to note in our memorandum where we think that those can be carried over to a resolution if you so move to approve this application. I wanted to just kind of run through the plan changes that I think are still required. And again, that's just based on prior discussions or compliance with your code. We've asked that the applicant note all of the legally existing nonconformities that have been opined on by the building inspector and confirmed by council being listed on the plan as such. That way, you know, moving forward, if this application or this site comes before the planning board again, you know, it's clear that these issues have been, you know, dealt with previously and it doesn't need to be revisited. Also, we've asked for a note for that parking is prohibited in the front yard be added to the plans. A note advising only 10 wrecked vehicles are permitted on the site should be added to the plan. Once, as Larry mentioned, they did revise their submission to replace the chain link fence with board fence that's required by your code. We wanted clarification from the applicant whether or not the rolling gates would also be board fence or if that's still proposed to be chain link. And if not, or, you know, so we'll look for clarification on that and something for the board to consider. With respect to ARB in that feature, I'm not sure exactly what the board fence would look like. Maybe the board wants to see a sample or at least have that listed on the ARB form. You know, colors, like what color is the applicant proposing? That might be helpful for you to understand now. Also, I think at the last meeting you requested that the applicant extend the fence along the southern property line to the rear of the property, and I don't think that's shown on this current plan, so that should be added. Our memo notes, and this is actually based on something that the applicant submitted previously from their engineer, a number of waivers that they're requesting associated with site plan requirements that the planning board can consider. A lot of these are just related to the existing water and sewer services that aren't changing, grading, landscaping that's not changing. So as long as you agree, you can waive those requirements as they are noted in our memo. Larry was discussing the projected water and sewer demand form. We received that on Monday, but we had a chance to review the applicant's calculations as part of their submission previously. So right now the applicant is proposing 30 gallons per day less than what they've calculated the existing use was. And that's just based on 2 less employees that are anticipated for this site. So in general, we do agree that the demand on the water and sewer systems would be approximately the same as part of, you know, this application versus what was there previously, because really the auto body and the auto repair were there. The space reserved for retail, you know, is just being converted from auto retail to millwork retail. So what they're saying about these 2 less employees, you know, is somewhat discretionary, but, you know, their engineer did prepare that report and they used the typical hydraulic loading rates, and we think that their calculations are correct. So we think that you can talk to Kelly about whether or not this application can be exempt, but, you know, that's the basis of sort of where they stand right now with the water and sewer and the projected demand. The only other really material issue we have, and we've raised this previously and it's been noted in our memo, is the freestanding sign. So the applicant still hasn't provided the dimensions for the additional panels for the auto body repair. So similar to the UPS store, you know, there's a limit on square footage for this for the zone and what the sign could be. So we need to either see that on a plan to confirm it complies with your code, or the applicant would need to remove that from their proposal and really just kind of limit themselves to the millwork sign versus those future tenant panels that they had indicated previously. And then there were a couple other things about, you know, sign above distance of the sign above the ground and also from the edge of the street pavement. And some of that I think is really less critical because I think they can comply and or it would be considered an existing nonconformity, but really the sign area I think is the question right now. And then the last thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention, because it wasn't noted in our memorandum previously, but came up as we were reviewing other applications specific to the Water Quality Protection Overlay District, is automobile repair service stations, garages are permitted by special permit use under the Water Quality Protection Overlay. And although they're not necessarily, this application isn't within the limits of, say, the buffer zone or the riparian zone, the code requires that the applicant submit a water pollution control plan to the building department. And that's to be reviewed by the building inspector. So I'm just noting it as that would be a potential condition of your action, that be submitted at the appropriate time. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Natalie. With the sign, Natalie, the applicant would have the decision if they wanted to go with the freestanding sign with a single panel. And then if they wanted to add more panels, come back and amend their application, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to make it clear that like you're not approving the sign as it is because it's maybe not complying until they demonstrate that it is.
To answer on the sign, on the previous submission, we did show, we didn't have the exact dimension because it goes on an existing sign. But we did, a part of our application did show that we're gonna basically be within the square footage. There's a maximum, I believe, of 10 square feet. And we have on our part of our submission was size of the sign to be determined, but maximum will be 10 feet. So basically, if the existing columns are around, let's say 8 feet, then the height of it is going to be around 1.2 or 1.3 feet in order to comply with the 10 feet. So this was part of the last submission. Basically, the signs is gonna be size of the sign to be determined, but maximum of 10 square feet is gonna be the sign.
So I think what the board has always requested in the past that those dimensions be labeled. So it really doesn't need to be determined if you can comply, right? So I think just showing those dimensions of the Trimax sign and then those additional tenant panels is important, just so that there's a plan moving forward and it's something that the building department can refer back to as part of what was approved via the planning board.
Okay.
What about Larry? What about the fence on the southern side?
Somehow we missed it. I didn't see it on the previous comments. I don't know if we can put that part of a condition or we have to come back and show a site plan showing it, but we somehow missed it.
Well, do you have an idea what you want to use for the fence?
The same board fence. It's the same board fence as the rest of it. So basically,
I don't think we've seen a sample of the board fence though. That's what I'm asking. Do you have?
Typical board fence is I haven't discussed it, but exactly what color but it's typically it's a board fence where it has vertical boards, so you can't really look into it.
What material will you use?
Wood.
Wood or the newer plastic material that is that you don't have to paint every couple of years and it doesn't get it's nicer and made out of the plastic material.
The tricks.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, it sounds like, well, the board doesn't have a resolution to approve tonight. So if Larry is able to kind of submit a revised, maybe an ARB form listing the material and the colors and a picture of what you would presume you would use for the fence, then maybe that would be appropriate.
Correct. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah,
So
I'm trying to see what we can do here so we don't have to keep. I know there's a lot of things we can do is I know typically we can do we'll do as far as your last memo will make a condition that any action of approval will have to apply by your last memo. Any issues that are found in it, if we do that. I'm just trying, we got the fence, the sign dimensions. The ARB form for the type of fence, right?
Yeah.
There's some more issues with the fence too, because as you get closer to the road, there has to be a certain amount of transparency through the fence. It can't be completely covered. And the height has a specification too.
Right,
So
but we don't list those on our plans. The fence would have to be installed per our code. we don't get that granular in resolutions.
It might be, I mean, there's a number of conditions that I think would be put in any resolution that the board took action on for this project. So it might be that, like Natalie suggested, he submits a form, but he also submits like a detail or a photo so that you know what's being referenced on that form. I'm
Yeah,
sure
like
Larry
we've
pull
done in
one
the
off the
past.
internet or something.
Yeah, just basically, something like this, I believe, is what he would want it, you know, as those vertical boards out of plastic, this doesn't get rusty, or you don't have to paint it. Just the one on the right side, basically. That one, the top one has white and gray, but this one, the bottom one has white. Obviously, we're gonna have it only the height that is allowed by the board, not by the board, by the Woodbury code.
The zoning code, yeah.
Yeah, zoning code, and I believe it's not close to the road, since it's right, it's all the way, if you look at the site plan, it's all the way back here. So I don't think it'll have to be transparent, because that will take away the whole purpose of the fence.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is something like that, would that be something the board would looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. Or there'd be a condition that it'd have to be maintained in perpetuity. You know, a good, well-maintained condition, you know. We don't want tow trucks driving over it and knocking panels out and all that other fun stuff.
Correct. And regarding if the rolling gate, yes, the rolling gate will be of the same material.
Yeah, it should all be the same. We don't want to do two different types of materials. Yeah, that would look kind of strange.
Yeah.
Does the fence extend to the west on the southern part of the site?
The way it's shown right now, no, but we anticipated to extend it all the way down where it's paved to the last spot.
Got it.
Yeah, I think Evan, that was something you had brought up last time, right? Bringing it down all the way.
Exactly.
And you had no problem with that, right, Larry?
Yes. Yeah. No, we're gonna do that.
I'm just trying to think of the best path forward here. I mean, to me, a lot of it could be handled via conditions or via an engineer's, Natalie's memo that he would have to comply with before plan signing. I don't know, Kelly, how do you feel about that?
I agree. Like I said, there would obviously be a number of conditions on this resolution anyway. So these that we've talked about tonight would just be a couple of more. The big thing was whether or not the project is subject to the moratorium. I agree with everything that Larry said earlier about the addition of the 2 exemptions. But I actually was looking at the other exemption because the one he read was for new structures. So the one I was looking at was that if he has demonstrated to, Natalie's satisfaction, applications for planning board and/or architectural review board approval where the property had in place municipal water connection, which I believe it does, or a private well, blah, 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 where proof of such connection is provided to the building department, water department, and village engineer, and no changes in use are proposed to the property that may increase the usage of water. And I think that's what Natalie was getting to with the reduction in number of employees. So if the board is inclined to determine that the applicant has demonstrated that there's no increase in the use of water, I would say that you could authorize the drafting of a resolution for your next meeting.
Well, we have an engineer's letter, right? Signed off. We have the water and sewage form is signed off by an engineer. So it's their license that's attesting to the usage there.
Yeah, I agree.
And as far as the fence goes, I mean, Larry, I mean, we're not approving the application tonight, so we still actually have one more meeting of the board once Larry gets a sample in with the ARB form to make a change to that, if we don't happen to like what it looks like or it's going to look like. So I think we do have one more meeting where we can make that change if we needed to.
Not a problem.
How's the rest of the board feel? I feel like we've been.
Yeah, Bob, I'm ready to vote. I'm ready to go on this.
Go ahead, Rich. I see your finger up.
Yeah, I just have any clarification. This new site plan says auto body shop, 3,000 square feet, auto body shop, 2,000. Is that what he's proposing, 2 auto body? I thought one was auto repair.
No, we're proposing 2 auto body.
Two auto body?
Yes.
And my last question is the maintenance room. How do we make sure that doesn't become a 4th business? Is that tied into the auto body shop, 3,000 square feet? What is that tied into, that maintenance room? So it doesn't become a 4th business.
Basically, we're not going to do that since only if we go back to the planning board. But basically, it has a garage and it's been used to maintenance for the site, the snow plowing and all of that. It's been used before, I believe, for that, and that's what he tends to use it for. So basically, it's not going to be owned by the auto body shops. It's going to be owned by the owner, which is the mill workshop, and he's going to maintain the property. So there's where he's going to keep all his equipment. The millwork is just a nice showroom. You can't have any equipment inside.
So it just sounds like that's a condition to me. That
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Same. And it might be for the special permit so that it can be evaluated yearly if it turns out that there's a 4th business operating there or something.
Are you
It
okay
sounds
with-
like it's gonna be storage for the plow, but I think it's good to make it clear in the resolution.
Are you okay if we do that, Rich? We add it as a condition.
Great idea. Thank you.
Does the
Yeah.
board? Go
And
ahead,
all
Mike.
the DEC conditions too for the paint shops.
Yeah, Kelly adds all that stuff up. She got a boilerplate. She puts all that stuff in on the end.
Great.
Anything else from the board?
I'm good.
Okay, so really at this point, Larry, this board's gonna authorize Kelly to potentially draft resolution of approval. It's going to be dependent upon you meeting the conditions that we're speaking about here. So nothing will be signed until those resolutions, you'll have one more appearance, but nothing will be signed until those conditions are met. So you understand what we're getting into here?
Correct. So basically, if we can recap, it's basically the fence on the southern edge of the property is a sample of the fence itself. What else that we need? I mean, the conditions is the conditions.
The conditions you'll get a copy of before we go through it. So
to submit, it's basically those 2 things.
It's the dimensions of the sign so that they conform to the code.
Okay.
The ARB form be updated to include the fence material and color, and then a picture or a sample of the fencing. And then I think the rest of the information is in our memo already. I think it's like comments that we've made. So as long as you comply with them, that's kind of what Chris was referring to. We can check that as part of the site plan process.
So yeah, it's the extension of it is the extension of the fence too on the sides, but also Natalie has a couple of things about notes she wants added to the plans about the pre-existing non-conforming conditions that the building inspector opined on, whether it's the 15 feet of the overhang or the no parking in the front. She laid them all out in her memo. Basically, she just wants it put on the site plan and a note so that if this application comes back before this board or any future board going forward, we're not digging through microfiche trying to figure out what took place 30, 40 years ago or a year ago.
Are you asking for him to also submit with that fence material for your next meeting, the site plan with those changes on it, or do you just want him to submit the ARB form with the fence color and sample and the sign dimensions?
I
Or
think
did
for the
you
next
wanna-
meeting, we need the ARB and the sign dimensions and the sample.
And the rest, okay, so Larry, you don't need to submit a revised site plan for the next one. Just,
Except the no parking zone in the front of the building should extend to the street.
Well, Mike, what he's gonna do is when we're not making him get that in for the next meeting.
No, I understand.
It's a condition that
Mhm.
before the site plan is signed, he has to have it on there. We're trying to get Larry over the finish line.
Yeah, correct. Because basically the site plan, I have to go back to the site engineer. The rest of the stuff is something I can do, which is I'll make sure that it's done in time.
Right, so you get what we're asking for, Larry?
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Michael just brought up something that's not in our memo, actually. I don't think that we've asked the applicant to extend the no parking zone to the street. I think what we asked for was a note on the plan indicating no parking in the front yard was required. So if the striping area needs to be expanded, that's something that the board should provide direction on now, so that when we review it for plan signing, I can make sure that that's done.
So I do have that noted as one of the conditions of the special permit, because we had talked about whether or not this was going to be a problem with people parking there. So when it's reviewed annually, it either has to return to you, and that may be that they're going to have to, you know, tear up the pavement or put in planters or extend that striping, whatever it happens to be at that point. But if the board wants to do something additional, rather than just deal with it as a special permit condition and hope that people just don't park there to start, then now's the time to talk about that.
My memory of the discussion was that we weren't gonna make them go through all that unless it became an issue on the yearly review, and then on the
Yeah,
issue
I
on the
agree.
yearly review, we would make them either, like you said, planters, tear it up, spike strips, you know, T-Rexes, something in the front yard to stop people from parking there.
A T-Rex would
Let's see if it
definitely
becomes
do
an
that.
issue.
Yeah, roofing nails.
So just to be clear, the striping as it's shown is okay for now, correct?
Yes, I think it's okay for now, and if it becomes a problem, when we review the site plan, we'll think of some other creative solution. Otherwise, I think when we had the discussion, it just looks like, I don't know, just paint upon paint upon paint.
Yeah, leave it unless it becomes a problem.
Yep. Okay. So Claudia gets to somehow summarize this all up. I'm gonna authorize council to draft a resolution of approval based on the discussion the board had this evening.
Good luck, Claudia.
Can I get a second? By Tommy, any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Larry, so it's really, you know what you gotta do, what you have to get to us, and then we'll go from there.
Great, great.
And
Thank
this will be on the 8/14 meeting or 8/17 meeting, sorry.
Yeah, the
Okay.
8/17 meeting. Thank you, Natalie. Oh, wait, sorry, Larry, we're not done yet, are we?
Nope.
All right, Hartman, ARB, Brown, 5 First Avenue. Review and discuss documents submitted on the ARB and Ridge Preservation application for expansion of building footprint and proposed addition of a story to an existing dwelling. Said property is located at 5 First Avenue and is known to the Village of Woodbury tax maps, section 214, block 7, lot 3.
So basically, this project is very similar to the 2 First Avenue and might have the same issue regarding the variances for zoning and even for the seasonal. So basically, this is located 2 First Avenue. It's 2 properties after the 2 First Avenue. This is the 3D rendering, the proposed 3D rendering. This is the existing survey the way it is right now. This is the proposed site plan, and we're basically incorporating the 2 decks and the shed as part of one big house. This is the pictures from the house the way it is right now. Number 2, this is the existing floor plan. So it's an existing duplex, and we're proposing to add a new story above it and a basement underneath and keep it as a duplex. This is the proposed floor plans. So basically, it's going to be also two units, one above each other. This was a mistake. This is 2 First Avenue, but the elevations it was supposed to be the same as the 3D rendering. Sorry about that, but the 2 First Avenue was inserted by mistake. This is regarding ridge preservation, same as the other. This property is located 4 properties from the road. So basically, it would be behind the road, and you would not be able to see it from the ridge preservation view quarter. And that's basically it.
Any questions for the applicant before we go to Natalie? All right, Natalie, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to just keep it really brief because like Larry said, I think a lot of the same issues from the prior application pertain to this application. So I think it's a conversion from seasonal to year-round use. The lot is undersized for the zone and there are issues with setback and the coverage needs to be demonstrated by the applicant on the plan. The only additional issue with this application, I think, that's threshold really at this point is this is a duplex home where only single family homes are permitted in the zone. So that would be an additional, I guess, variance that would be a use variance that would be required from the ZBA, but I'll let Kelly opine on that. And I'll just kind of refrain from going over the ARB and ridge preservation comments that we had, because again, it's these issues I think that need to be handled first.
Larry, is this an existing single family that you're turning into a duplex?
No, it's an existing duplex. So basically, if you look at the floor plan, this is the existing floor plan.
Okay,
It has a wall right in the center with a mirror image layout. So it's an existing duplex.
so would it become a pre-existing non-conforming, Kelly? Or is it just illegal to begin with?
I
Don't wanna put
honestly,
you on the
there's,
spot there.
well, no, I wasn't sure because I think it was the second page that it said existing dwelling and then it said proposed 2 families. So this one actually threw me for a loop. So all I can say is that 2-family dwellings are not permitted, obviously, in the R2 district. It was unclear if this was an existing 2-family. I think that's something that we have to check with the building department. I mean, it may be used as a 2-family, but it may not be a legally pre-existing 2-family. If that's the case, they'd have to potentially apply for a use variance or change it to a single family. Or, it becomes an enforcement issue. If it is a legally pre-existing use and they want to expand it, then there's special permits that the zoning board could grant, but it's only up to 10% of the area, which I don't think is what they're looking for. So I think it takes a little bit more research with the building department because I called Natalie on this one. I found this one really confusing. For some reason, although now when we're talking about it, it seems identical as the 2 First Avenue, but so I think it needs a little bit more research, but other than that, it's pretty much in the same boat as the last one.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to type this as a type 2 action under secret then. I have a second.
Second.
Evan by Evan, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and then I'll make a motion to authorize Natalie for a referral to the ZBA for full relief on that.
Second.
Required. Second by Evan, any questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, so you get 1 out of 3, Larry, not horrible.
But just one question on that last one.
Yeah.
You're talking about a full basement. We have to have more information about the basement as well.
Yeah, well, he's gonna have to even see if he can get a variance for what he's looking for to begin with, as far as lot coverage and square footage and all that fun stuff, so.
Yeah, but I don't want it to come up later. I think if you address it from the get-go.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
yeah, if he
fine.
wants the basement, he's gotta ask for it. If he doesn't ask for the basement at the ZBA, we can't do anything about it, because he doesn't have approval from the ZBA if he gets it, so. As always, Larry, whatever relief you're looking for, make a full presentation. Ask for it once, so we don't go back and forth.
Not a problem, definitely. Thanks.
And I think that's it for you tonight, right, Larry?
Yep.
Okay. All right, sir. See you in a couple weeks.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 15 Dartmouth, ARB Joel. Review and discuss documents submitted on the ARB and Ridge Preservation application for proposed addition to existing dwelling. Said property is located at 15 Dartmouth and is known as the Village of Woodbury Tax Maps, Section 245, Lot 1, Lot 108. I will preface this application with saying that my brother-in-law does live directly across the street from the applicant, but I feel I could be fair and impartial in rendering any decisions that comes upon this application. With that said, go ahead, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
So I'm representing the applicant on this. So we had submitted a revised package for the ARB. So to recap what the project is, we have an addition to the kitchen. First floor area had an addition to the kitchen, which is going to be a dinette area, and then a living room sukkah area right in the back of the dining room, and then there's a deck. And this entire addition is over a basement, and the basement is going to have an unfinished space for lawn equipment and pool storage area. So that's what the project is about.
Thank you, sir. Natalie, you want to go?
Yes. So since their last appearance that was before you in May, the applicant submitted some revised materials based on the comments that you received and also comments that we had in our memorandum. One of the things that we had requested was a bulk table be added to the plan so you can consider compliance with the code criteria for the R2A zone. The applicant did submit that and the survey, and they confirmed that the lot width is less than is required by code. I think they have 125 feet where 175 feet is required. I think this could be considered a legally pre-existing nonconformity, but I want to have Kelly opine on that if she would. We also had another couple of comments on the front yard and the rear yard, and really it's just for the applicant to confirm the setback location and show the dimension on the plan appropriately, and those would be essentially to the porches that are being proposed and or that are existing, and then you can confirm compliance. Specifically with the porches that are being proposed, in the addition, you'll want to confirm that the setback is complying with the rear yard in particular. Also, we've asked for the applicant to provide a basis for the coverage calculations that they noted on the plan. I think it's pretty close to comply. Well, it is complying as it's listed, 18.4% versus 20%. But I think just we'll need a little bit more detail to make sure that everything's included within that calculation. And we know in our memo that according to the general permit, pools are actually considered impervious surfaces and should be accounted for within those calculations. So that's one thing we'll be looking for. With respect to the ARB and ridge preservation, the floor areas for the proposed additions were provided by the applicant. We've requested information on the unfinished basement be provided on the plan, and specifically the area associated with that. They also provided a comparison of gross floor area for this home in comparison to other homes, neighboring homes. So the basement area, the unfinished basement area should be added to that comparison. We've also noted in our memo that the planning board might want to consider a comparison of building footprints, but that's to your discretion. The second floor plan shows a baby room, and I don't think, I was trying to look while we were talking, I don't actually think that may be changing from the prior submissions, but I think the projected water and sewer demand form only lists 4 bedrooms. So I think maybe you want to discuss with the applicant what the baby room is, and if eventually it could be considered a bedroom, then it should be listed as 5 bedrooms versus 4 on the plans and the information that was submitted to you. We at the last meeting, you did discuss the roofing material, that's EPDM. I think you thought that was acceptable. We asked for a revised ARB form noting the materials and the colors for the deck. And then I think with ridge preservation, you already confirmed that it's not visible from the view corridor, and our memo just kind of lists a couple of informational comments associated with that, but really our comments on that are done. So with that being said, I think that there is a public hearing requirement or a waiver that you could consider, and we'll defer to Kelly on seeker. I think I covered everything. Sorry if that was confusing. I was looking at everything too much.
No, I think we have 2 things for Kelly, right? The pre-existing non-conforming with the width
Right.
as well.
And that I see no issue with.
Okay. And if I'm looking at everything right, all the additions are gonna be, the addition is in the rear of the house, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so the front of the house isn't changing other than the porch.
We're not changing anything in the front. Not even the porch.
Not
We're
even
not
the
changing anything. The porch in the front of the house is existing.
Okay, yep. Sorry about that, sir. Couple
It's okay.
too many ARB applications. Sometimes get
That's okay.
a little confused. How's the board feel? Feedback, comments, concerns?
There is a question I have. One of the comments is here that we should provide the floor area for the unfinished basement. It's shown on page 4 of this package. It's showing the basement floor, unfinished basement plan addition of 640 square feet. That's if you have it on page 4.
Yep. So our comment is meant to ask for the area of the existing unfinished basement. So you've provided us with the area of the addition. If you go to, I think further in your packet, you have a comparison of other homes.
And page 12.
Right. And that comparison also lists unfinished areas in addition to finished areas. So I think having
On the
that
last
total.
row.
Yep, that total, understanding what that is for that floor is helpful for the planning board to consider.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's not included in the basement, so I'll have to update that.
So feedback from the board for the applicant?
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I live on the same block, 3 houses down from the applicant. So again, I also feel I can be impartial in reviewing the application and making a determination. The only question I had was, there was a pre-existing garage, and I thought that was converted to a living space. Can you clarify?
I'm not sure it was converted to a living space. I know that they did enclose the garage doors. They did this with a permit a while back.
So it's not living space. It's
I don't think so. I'm not sure, but I know that I was told that they enclosed the garage door. They took away the garage doors. They just installed a regular walk-through door. They did this a while back when they moved into the house. They did this with a permit, the enclosure.
all right. Well,
So
I'm
not
just
sure.
saying, in the final site plan, if you could just, it's either livable or non-livable. You said you weren't sure. So when you come back the next time, if there isn't, you can just say which way it is.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, Evan, any other feedback? Tommy for the,
No,
no, Evan?
No.
Tommy? No, okay.
I'm good.
Based on the neighborhood, the addition, how does the board feel about the need for a public hearing on this application?
I don't
I
believe
don't
there's.
think it's necessary.
I agree.
I agree that we can waive the public hearing based on the addition and the neighborhood.
So I so move.
All right, so really at this point, yep, go ahead, Kelly.
You have a motion on the table.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions?
Nope.
All
No,
in
we
favor?
need a second. So there was a motion to waive the public hearing by Mike. Okay.
Right, Tommy, second. Any question? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's why Kelly's got the cool little letters after her name.
Stop right there.
So this, waive the public hearing. So do we want to authorize, or do we want to see the square footage of the basement for comparison, or, I mean, because really we're at a crossroad here. Either we're okay with the size, the addition and what it's going to be.
Can we make it a condition? And
Well, I mean, the applicant still has to comply with Natalie's memo and provide the information that's been asked for. Sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and just so the board knows, this application is not exempt from the moratorium because there is that additional bedroom.
Oh,
The
that's right.
talked
that
about.
stops, that changes everything.
So
Yeah,
we're not doing anything in the existing house, right?
well, she mentioned that there was a baby room, so to us, that looked like the baby would be sleeping in the baby room.
I believe it's a baby room. The baby will be sleeping there, but this is a previously, I mean, there's nothing, no renovations in this floor at all. I mean, this is what it is. This is what exists. This is not something proposed.
So from what I understood, it was a 4-bedroom house, or at least the calculations were listed for a 4-bedroom house. But the baby room makes it a 5-bedroom house. And so with that additional bedroom, and that's not accounted for, then that makes it subject to the moratorium. But Natalie, my engineering, I'm past my limit there with bedroom counts and water usage, so you might want to jump in on that one.
No, I think Kelly, what you said is correct. I think the problem is that the proposed, or the only, I guess, question I have is that the addition doesn't include the baby room. So it's like whether or not those 5 areas of the home, you know, if it's a 4-bedroom home and now it's a 5, like you said, it's an increase. But just listing it as a baby room definitely makes it a bedroom. It's just not that, like, the expansion of the home has made that a baby room. Does that make sense?
Hold on. So let's see, what
Well,
is,
if it's improperly being used as a 5-bedroom home and it's supposed to be a 4-bedroom home, and they want to keep it as a 5-bedroom home with the baby room, I would think that they would want to clean all that up in this application as well, so that they don't end up either in enforcement action or coming back to you again about this issue. So, I mean, it's
This
really on
was-
the applicant and what they want to
This
do.
was, the existing floor plan was built legally. The existing floor was built, before they moved in. They did the renovations to the house and they applied for a permit. This was the way it is right now, is the way they got a permit, and that's the way they built it.
so, but the
it's not
count, right now, the county shows this as a 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Maybe it was not updated. Maybe it was not updated after the previous permit application. So it's not. There's
So-
no changes.
Okay, I get it, and I'm sure they did everything they were supposed to do, so we're gonna throw the onus back on you to show that there was a permit issued for the additional bedroom. If you can show us that there was the permit issued for the additional bedroom prior to the moratorium going into effect, then that would then be an exempt, it would exempt it, right, Kelly?
Yes.
Not trying to be legal here, just
Sure.
trying to connect all the dots.
No, but he might
Sure.
be able to just submit the paperwork that we don't have. So if you're able to do that, then you are exempt from the moratorium and the board can move forward. But if we can't demonstrate that and they want to
Sure.
keep that as a bedroom and not touch that part, then
what I will
they
do
would be
is-
subject to it.
What I will do is with the revised plan, I will add the permitted floor plans they were showing this floor plan.
So, and I think what we'll do is I'll make the motion to draft a letter of resolution of approval conditioned on the applicant being able to provide proof of the 5th legalese of the fifth
Of the
bedroom.
5th bedroom.
So is that okay, Kelly?
A second.
Second by Michael. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, sir. So just a little bit of homework, and then the key, the linchpin here is showing the permit and the plans that show that 5th bedroom.
Okay.
Before the moratorium went into effect.
Very good.
Just to be clear about when they're going to be listed again, we're going to wait until the applicant submits revised materials?
Well, yeah, revised materials and including the permit / drawings for that 5th bedroom. Otherwise, we can't take action because it's exempt. Right? We're good.
Okay.
We're still okay, right, Kelly? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you,
Very
sir.
good.
A little bit of homework on your side and you're
Yep.
almost there.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you
you.
very much.
Thanks.
Okay. And I'm really sorry if I get the name wrong on this next application. Shlomo /50 Smith Clove Road. Review and discuss documents submitted for proposed site plan, special permit, ARB, and water quality protection overlay for change of use from a laundromat to apartment. Said property is located 50 Smith Cove Road in Central Valley and is known as the Village of Woodbury Tax Maps, Section 231, Block 3, Lot 3. I see David is here for the applicant, correct?
Yes.
All right, take it away, sir.
Hello, everyone. We're submitting this application in response to a building department letter that showed the conditions were in violation of the zoning code. The owner would like to convert the first floor from an existing laundromat to a residential apartment. The first floor, we showed the layout of the existing first floor. It's not in use anymore. It has been, the existing conditions definitely demonstrate that the laundromat is not in use. And as mentioned earlier, the owner would like to convert it to apartment. It's approximately 1,100 square feet inside. I believe the zoning code would allow 2 apartments. Even though we don't show that, probably would include it in the next submission. We did receive the engineer's comments. Yeah, I agree with quite a few of them, with a survey needed to demonstrate the building or both buildings on this site. Even though we're not proposing any change in footprint, we're not proposing any additions to the existing building. There were other requests made because of the relationship to existing wetlands. So when we get to that point, I probably would ask the board for relief from documenting or delineating any wetlands or FEMA applications, since the building does exist, as I mentioned earlier, and we're not proposing any change in footprint or increase in the existing area. I do believe that this is allowed within the HB zone under a special use permit, and we're hoping that the board would agree that this would not need to go to the zoning board, but would stay within the jurisdiction of the planning board.
Thank you for that, sir. I just want to add to that. I did have the building inspector go over. He did inspect the entire premise and including the basement. I know that was a question that would come up, and there is no way, unless David gets a shovel out and starts digging, that the basement would be able to become an apartment. It is not whatever that 6'4", whatever that height is, the requirement in New York for it to become livable space. I know that's a question I had, and I just figured we'd head that one off at the pass and find out before it even came up. So I just want to bring that up to the board as well. All right, Natalie, want to go ahead?
Sure. I kind of appreciate this discussion because I had a lot of questions just on the limited materials that were submitted. Just really, I think the one floor plan didn't really show all of the uses for the site and what the other building is being used for, and if there are already apartments, within that existing building. So I think, just sort of a better understanding of what's going on the site outside of the floor that you submitted. Really, conversion of the laundromats to the apartments would be helpful, and that's important just to consider the requirements of the zone. I think, like you noted, technically the lot area that's required for dwelling units is it's 2 bedrooms or no more than 2 bedrooms each, but also the lot area is 6,000 square feet for each unit. So it's not really clear, if there are already apartments on the site, if the lot area can support all of the uses that are being proposed, even though I think in general, a conversion from a laundromat to residential apartments is less like environmentally impactful. We have to have a better understanding of what's being proposed and what's existing already. With the fact that there's no disturbance proposed, I think that's what you're getting to, David, then as long as, for instance, like parking doesn't need to be expanded to support the use, or, there are any other site impacts, then I think I would agree with you that sort of delineating those like environmentally sensitive water bodies is maybe less critical, since nothing's changing. And I think the code for the water quality protection overlay, the riparian zone, it's like to be left undisturbed. So if that's happening, then, maybe not so important to show it on the plan. And same thing for the buffer area. There's certain things that are allowed within that area. So I think the survey would help. I think maybe just a description of, what's going on in the other building, and then in this building that the laundromat is being converted in would be helpful. And then one thing I did want to note is on your plan, you have a bulk table. There was an opinion from the building inspector previously on another application, and actually it was in 2017, that indicated the requirements of the R.25A zone were applicable for dwelling units. So I think that's still applicable to this application. Just, again, when you're demonstrating compliance with the code required criteria, you'll want to make sure that you update your plan to list those specific requirements. And I asked Kelly to kind of confirm that she agrees with us in our memo on that.
Which comment was that, Natalie?
That's under other. It's under zoning, bulk, and other. So it just says the setback coverage and lot width criteria for this special permit use are undefined in the code for the HB zone. We did receive an interpretation from the building inspector on a similar application indicating the R.25 acres are applicable. So we're going to review that with Kelly, which I'm just kind of throwing it on you now. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I looked at that, and the board actually just reviewed that application last meeting. So that interpretation or determination by the building inspector still stands.
All right. So then you can list those requirements on your bulk plan when you're, like I said, listing compliance with the same. So the projected water and sewer demand form only indicates that 2 bedrooms are proposed. Again, just kind of need to understand what's existing to, understand what's changing and by how much. Although laundromats, as you guys know, based on a review of another application, typically have much more water and sewer demand than any single family home or residential dwelling, I should say.
I know, I know we keep referring to it as a laundromat. I mean, but for all intents and purposes, 7 years I've lived here. It hasn't been.
No, it's been nothing.
It's
oh yeah.
It has been a laundromat. It's either had an apartment in it or
okay.
Whatever. I mean, I don't know if it really matters, but I mean, I think they just kept the laundromat sign up as a deterrent. Let's say like that. But it's been an apartment for as long as I've lived here. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
What about parking? I mean,
there is no parking.
Yeah, exactly. How are we going to put apartments here with no parking?
But I mean, but if it was a laundromat, it had no parking too, right?
Yeah, but
those houses have been on either side of it for as long as I think this is just, David, I commend you for taking this one on. I think this application's got a lot of weird aspects to it, because I know they used to park in the house. If you're looking at it, there's a house to the right that kind of has a lot cleared out along the railroad tracks over there. Yeah. They used to park in that lot over there and walk down the street. And then you get an easement from them. I don't know. Like,
Chris, you bring up some really good points that I think are important. One of the things I noted was that there really was no site plan that was submitted for your review. And I think a lot of that would be addressed in a site plan that Natalie can really take a good look at some of those elements. But since I took over the floor, I'm just going to add in a couple of other things.
I mean, but seriously, when I don't know how we're going to overcome some of this stuff, because when you look at the site plan, there is literally like 2 feet. It reminds me of the railroad houses and
exactly
the old
I
railroad
think there needs
house.
some historical research needs to be done through the building department files to find out what was approved most recently. And, maybe there were some waivers or some variances granted, but we don't know.
And believe it or not, David, I'm actually trying to help you here. I'm not trying to.
And I think that I've been through the microfiche before, so you might have to do that on this one.
Well,
but
I appreciate everyone's comments, because sometimes these type of comments and engineer and attorney's notes can be used to help persuade the owner that additional documentation is needed, and I could discuss that with them to allow us to go ahead and do that.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to do something, because with what you gave us right now, you might as well, and to put it on a cocktail napkin with some crayons and.
Well, we could do a fancy cocktail napkin, okay, not just a regular one, a fancy.
How about some tracing paper and colored pencils? We'll step it up.
All right.
We'll step it up a notch.
There you
David,
go.
I do understand that the owners are new owners,
Yes.
I think. So if you could also provide the board in your next submission with a copy of that deed, because as it stands just now, comparing the application and the entity disclosure form against what the records show, obviously they don't match up. So we know that the county is a bit behind in updating their system. So if you could just provide a copy of that deed as well, so that the board has that. And like Natalie said, I think it's important to include the other building because it is going to be a site plan review for the property, and they need to know what's occurring in that building too. And for the board's benefit,
I'm listening. I'm just writing this down.
No, that's fine. Just for the board's benefit, I can't advise you right now as to whether or not the application would be considered exempt from the moratorium or what it would be considered under seeker, because we really don't have enough information to make those determinations.
Yeah,
But I certainly will do so once it's provided.
Sure.
I think we got a little bit of a road to go before we get there.
And it's not just wetlands, it's Woodbury Creek, which is a trout stream.
Yeah, well, I mean, God knows if it was a laundromat, what they were dumping out the back door for how many years into that.
Yeah,
That's why David's here to clean it up, right?
that's right. You know, we want to make this a better project for that building or those two buildings. So
Yeah. Now, if they have municipal water, Kelly, is there any requirement for them to actually test to make sure there's nothing in the soil because of its previous use?
Not from my area. However, I don't know if Natalie has any requirements that she knows of from an engineering standpoint.
What exactly was the question again? But I don't think for this purpose there would be, especially since they're not disturbing any soils as
That's
part of
why
this
I'm asking.
application.
They're on
yeah.
municipal water. I believe they're on municipal water. They don't have a well, but we know
Mhm.
it used to be a laundromat. Are there any requirements that they have to prove that the site isn't contaminated with all those tetrachlorides that they used to use to clean the clothes way back then?
Not that I'm aware of, but I can double check for you and see if anything comes up.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is maybe if there was some spill that was reported with the DEC or something like that, or something may pop up under the EAF mapper that may provide some information on something like that. But if it was a spill, it would have been cleaned up. So
Yeah, like Nipera.
I'm just
Smaller, but
saying.
I'm just trying to flush whatever we need to flush out. I'm trying to flush out for this.
Yeah, Natalie and I will try and take a
now.
look at that as well.
and also we'll make the Chris application and get sign offs from SHPO, and that, which was another agency that was triggered on the EAF. So we'll try to get all our letters from the outside entities together for our next submission.
I'm sorry, I think both Kelly and I cut you off, Natalie, in report, did we?
You know, you didn't really, no, because I think I said enough. And, you know, if the applicant has any questions on our memo or the board, you know, we're happy to review them. Otherwise, I think just additional information in that survey is going to help clarify a lot of our questions and how this application proceeds moving forward.
Sure.
Does anybody else from the board have any questions or concerns or anything they want to flush out? I know David's notepad is getting a little full, but
I think that's a good start.
so you're okay with what you need for now, David, or anything else you need from us?
Chris, everyone was clear. I have no problem with it. I'll go back to the owner, reiterate to him some of our previous thoughts, and then also these new comments, and get the documentation together to submit.
Okay.
Hopefully with another project that I'd like to come back to the board with, but we'll see how the agenda works out.
Okay. All right, well, with that, then we'll see you at your next submission, sir.
Have a great evening, everyone.
You too. Take care.
Take care.
All right, so just to be fair, I'm gonna go back to Mira/6 College Drive in Highland Mills. Last and final call for Mira/6 College Drive in Highland Mills for the ARB review. Okay, I'm gonna mark it as a no-show. Does the board want to go into attorney-client with Kelly quickly to discuss go ahead, Natalie.
Sorry, I have one more thing for this meeting. Is it okay if I discuss Gluck right now, Chris, the Summit Avenue?
Yes, I totally forgot about that. This is what we keep you around for. I totally
Well,
forgot about that one. Thank
I'm
you.
sure everybody wants one more thing to talk about tonight. So if it's okay, I'd like to share my screen to kind of discuss the changes to the plan with the board.
Yep.
So I don't even know if everybody had an opportunity to review this application last year in August. The planning board approved an ARB and ridge preservation application for homes on 5 lots that were approved as part of a subdivision in 2008. In 2008, it was a 9-lot subdivision. So essentially 5 of the lots were undeveloped. They came back before the planning board for ARB approval. And as part of your review, you requested confirmation of compliance with a number of the conditions from the 2008 resolution. One of those conditions was proof that the applicant in 2008 received coverage under the general permit for stormwater discharges associated with construction activities. The applicant, that was included as a condition, a carryover from your 2008 action to your 2021 action. And after some research, the applicant discovered that the prior developer of the subdivision never received that coverage. So accordingly, they had to apply for coverage with the DEC, and to do so, they had to update their plans to comply with the current regulations. So what was proposed previously were each lot had its own, this is the new plan, but I'll just kind of describe to you briefly what was there before. Each lot was equipped with what was a sump pit, which was essentially a water quality control device, and the infiltration system. The applicant performed infiltration testing on each of the lots that failed, so they had to come up with an alternate method for basically attenuating stormwater flows and treating the water for water quality. And they came up with a similar type of system, except for it's really a pipe storage system versus an infiltration system. And they added rain gardens to each of the sites. Also, each lot has a trench drain to collect stormwater from the driveways that they're proposing be discharged to this underground detention system. So basically, the applicant worked pretty closely with H2M and the DEC to develop a plan that could be complying for each lot, and it was with some difficulty that they did so. But what we're here to do tonight is just kind of present these changes and offer them as a field change for the planning board to consider. Again, the changes were made to comply with your resolution and the requirements of current regulations. So we think that they are appropriate. A couple of other really quick things is because the systems changed, the size and the footprint of those systems changed modestly. So the limits of disturbance have been expanded to accommodate those systems. Again, just as restrictive as possible. You can kind of see that here. And then also we had sent a note to Chris sort of describing some other changes. And at one point, the applicant was proposing less new trees than they had previously proposed. So they're going to be revising the plan to comply with what was approved in your 2021 action. And then the only other thing I think that's worth noting is that there was an additional erosion and sediment control practice that was added to these plans, and that's concrete washout. So that's all I had. I just wanted to, again, just describe those to you. If you guys have any questions, I'll try to answer them on behalf of the applicant. Otherwise, I think this can be approved as a field change if you agree. If you do not agree, then they would have to come back before the board for an amended, I guess it would be a subdivision / site plan. It's probably amended site plan.
The only question I had, and it's really for Kelly, do we need to change any of the language, or do we need to enter into a developer's agreement to make sure that these drainage pipes are properly, I was reading about them, and there is maintenance that's required on them every now and again. So if this is what they're relying on to get rid of the stormwater, does it just kind of be like, well, it's the homeowner's problem once they put it in, or?
Who's responsible for maintenance?
It is the homeowners. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, Kelly, but
Oh, Kelly, you sound much younger.
Good news, it is the homeowners.
yes.
If it's something though that Natalie would recommend that there be some easement, like a drainage easement saying that the village has the right but not the obligation to go in and fix it. For example, if it's starting to damage Summit Avenue, because I think that part is a village road, but Natalie can correct me if I'm wrong.
It is, and they just recently redid all the culverts and everything up there. So I would hate to see all the work that the highway department did get washed away because these things
Literally, yeah.
aren't properly maintained. This isn't like, I think the board needs to realize this is not like a normal practice on a private dwelling. We typically see these in commercial properties when they're doing stormwater management. They have these retention basins and stuff like that. But in my few years here, this is really the first time we've seen both a rain garden and this type of retention system for management of stormwater. I can't remember another project in the last few years that we've seen this. So I just get concerned.
Where does it eventually drain it out to, the retentions?
So each of these lots, it goes to the rain garden for water quality, to the underground detention system, and then it discharges to a riprap protection area. So each of them, it's different. I think some drain to the rear of the properties, some drain towards the road. Really, I think what the planning board did as far as the 2008 resolution, and that's something I think that we corresponded a little bit, Kelly and Chris, is
I'll take it as a compliment.
there are deed restrictions existing for each of the properties that require the individual homeowners to maintain the stormwater systems on the property. So that's always something that if like there were issues that did develop that the village could fall back on. But I don't know what the specific language is. So that's something that we need to verify that it protects the village. Although, like you said, I mean, really, you wouldn't see these types of things, such an intense type of, practice for an individual lot. It's really just because there's 5 lots and because of the amount of disturbance to develop each of those 5 lots that they fall under this criteria. So it's unlikely that a single family home is going to really impact any drainage systems, for the village, really.
But that's the only reason I had concern, because these aren't typical in private dwellings. Commercially, it's kind of that you have these types of systems, they know they need to maintain them. If I bought a house and you told me there was this type of drainage system, I'd probably look at you and go, okay, sounds good. And with the 2 of them, at least the front 2 lots dumping into Summit Avenue, I worry that if they're not properly maintained and they either overflow or we have a catastrophic rain and we dump all this.
What's the
we dump all this
capacity?
water into the culverts.
So I do know that Natalie and I had talked about, I have to pull the deed restrictions because I don't know what they say. What I can say is if I take a look at them and I don't think that they are sufficient, or I don't think that it makes an easy process for the village to go in if there is being damage done, which usually then would require a private action for enforcement of that language. If there's an easement available, like I said, that gives them the right but not the obligation to go in to fix that and to charge it back to the homeowner, we certainly can work with Natalie and the applicant to have that in place.
Yeah, I think as long as you're comfortable with the language, because at the end of the day, you'll be the one who would be involved in making sure it becomes enforceable. I just want the village not to be on the hook for something that, not being maintained the right way by a homeowner.
Yeah, and like Natalie said, the likelihood of it actually damaging the road is low, but stranger things have happened.
This is Woodbury.
So I'll work with Natalie on that.
We're putting T-Rexes in parking lots to enforce no parking zones, so.
Pretty cool.
Okay, so does the board feel as long as council is okay with the language and the easements, that we can approve this as a field change?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, with Natalie's recommendation, yes.
Okay, Yep, and we are making them put and they wanted I think it was like 26 trees, we're making them, I stood fast on the 31 trees that they have to put back, so they have to figure out some other place to plant more trees, but they have to put them in, so. All right, so I'll make a motion to accept this as a field change with the conditions that we spoke about this evening. Can I get a second? Tommy, any questions? All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I know
Thank
it's
you.
late. Thank you. I know it's late, but I really think Rich's question probably won't take long to answer. Is the
Yeah,
board
I'm good.
okay with
Let's
just
let's
jumping
do it.
into attorney-client real quick?
Yep, let's do it.
Okay, let me stop the recording. Oh, wait. Oh, no, wait, because I gotta come back, right? After we come out of attorney-client?
No, that's only for executive session, so you can stop the recording, kick out anyone that is not subject to attorney-client privilege here, and then we can talk.
Do I have to close the meeting now, or?
Yes.
All right, so I'll offer a meeting, motion to close the meeting, and we're gonna enter into attorney-client. Mr. Cottagio, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's see. Oh, the mayor's here. Do we have to kick the mayor out?
No. Besides, he could just call me tomorrow and I would tell him what I said.
Kick him out.
No, and Claudia is our scribe, so she can stay as well, correct? Or
It's up to you. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it up to you, Claudia. If you wanna leave, go right ahead. Otherwise, if you wanna get some more information in for your noodle, you're more than welcome to stay. And I am going to.
Listen, I'll let you guys go. Thank you for all your hard work, and I'll get the update on Friday from Kelly.
Have a good evening, Andrew.
Have a
All
good
right,
night.
thanks, guys, once again. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night. All right, Claudia's
Thank you,
gonna
Natalie.
stay, and I have actually locked the meeting, so nobody else can join. We're all locked together. All right, so Rich, go ahead. You had a question that you wanted to. get
Yeah, I just wanted clarification.
Hold on, the meeting is still being recorded.
No, is it?
Yes.
Yes,
And the little red lights on.
Hold on. This is why everybody gets paid the